to a very special film session episode of No Breaks, a Formula One podcast from the No Dunks Inc. Classic Factory, and proudly a part of the Athletic Podcast Network. That was actually a picture of us from 21 years ago.
That was us celebrating.
Finished on the podium of the kart championship in 2001. Good times.
We all won.
We all won. Just like today, everybody's winning. Whether you're joining us live in the Slipstream team here on YouTube or listening to the podcast later, thank you for joining the Brotherhood of Speed. As always, I'm joined by our local F1 expert, still riding high from a big Brentford Bees victory over
Did you see my bees? Did you see my bees? They were out there crushing it.
That's great.
The buzz they ran, Man United ran into the buzzsaw.
A lot of buzz around the Bees. Haven't yet seen a single kick from the Bees, but I've seen every one of your tweets, so happy to be following along as well.
Happy to be your guide.
I'm going to get to you in just a second, but we've also got the man on the pit wall making the right calls. That's JD.
Hello.
And I had to save him for last because he's making his No Breaks debut. He drives a Ford Mustang, so you know he likes fast cars. That's Tascallis.
You better believe it. You know I sped over here after watching this flick.
Yeah, you got the fastest car. You got the fastest car of any of us.
I don't know.
You want to race through the city of Atlanta to figure out who actually got the fastest ride?
You better believe it.
Just as we work through a few of our demons, take it out on the road.
That's right. We're still in the middle of F1 summer break. Different show today. Co-opting the film session series from No Dunks to talk about 2001's Driven, a movie about speedy race cars starring Sylvester, Stallone, and Kip Pardue. Here's some other important factoids. yeah, this one's for all the Kip Pardue fans out there.
From Atlanta. I was excited about that.
Is that true? I realized that.
Kip Pardue, I thought he was going to have Paul Walker's career way back when. You know, back in 2001, they were right there with each other.
Yeah.
Had
it's like the Deron Williams to the Chris Paul of Paul Walker.
Crazy. Now that I mention it, it's like Paul Walker was in Varsity Blues, right? And then Fast and Furious. Kip Pardue, Remember the Titans, and Driven. These guys were trying to have the exact same career.
Okay.
Very weird to think. Also, some more factoids about Driven, a movie. Directed by Rennie Harlin. You a big Rennie Harlin fan, JD?
You know, I did enjoy Die Hard 2.
Sure.
What else did he do? He did
Cutthroat Island. I've never
seen that.
One of the biggest bombs in box office history. I think is kind of the way it goes. But I was only familiar with Die Hard 2 as well. I think he's maybe done some horror movies as well.
But he did The Long Kiss Goodnight.
Yeah,
with,
sure.
Gina Davis.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, he's the most successful Finnish director ever. I read,
including Driven.
Including, yes, his body of work.
Does that mean like from a box office standpoint?
I guess,
that's like a subjective assessment?
I guess so.
Okay.
So, I'm fine with Die Hard 2. I loved it when it came out, so yeah. Every time I see Rennie Harlin's name, I'm like, hey, it's that guy. It's the Die Hard 2 guy.
It's good to recognize somebody.
Yeah.
The IMDb plot synopsis for Driven. A young hotshot driver is in the middle of a championship season and is coming apart at the seams. A former kart champion is called in to give him guidance. Sounds good.
Is that even an accurate description of the plot?
All of that happens. We got a young hotshot driver, Jimmy Bly. We got the former kart champion.
Was he a former champion?
Well, they said so. I mean, I don't know.
I
didn't follow Joe Tonto's career prior to the movie.
Yeah, can we get the prequel so we can get a little bit of a look?
Yeah,
I thought Joe had thrown it. Okay, I thought he threw it all away.
He did throw it all away, but they said he threw it all away after the championship. I guess I don't know.
That was one weird thing is that they went to they explained absolutely everything, but they didn't explain that. They didn't explain the hot shot coming back, and they kept pointing it out. Hey, you were on top, then you were on the bottom. You were on top, then you were on the bottom. But we never knew why.
Yeah, how on top was he? How on the bottom was he? What happened in between? No one knows. It's a mystery to us all. I don't know if you guys took a look yet, but I thought I'd ask you what you think the Rotten Tomatoes scores were.
I won't answer. I looked. So
okay.
Anybody?
I think JD told me this.
Yeah, I definitely looked.
Yeah. Well, I hate to spoil it for everybody. It's a 14.
Oh, I thought it was an 18.
For the critics.
That's better.
I got on there this morning and drilled it down a little bit here. Yeah, but a 33.
Since we encourage people to watch it.
Yeah, 33 from the audience. So, I mean, if you're certified rotten, everyone agrees that your movie sucks. And I knew that was going to be the case because when I was searching for the movie on my Fire Stick, I started typing in drive, right? I was like, okay, this will pop up eventually. I had to type full driven, and then I had to type full driven movie. I was like, a movie is not getting watched often when you have to specify that you're watching the movie.
Wait,
nobody's watched this in 20 years.
I have a question about how Rotten Tomatoes works. If it's got a 33% on the audience score, does that mean 1 out of 3 people watching this movie is saying yes, it is good?
That's disappointing when you put it that way.
Because it's a lot. Because it's actually
33
that's a
seems
pretty
high now.
Yeah, it's high.
33 definitely seems high. But yeah, I mean, I guess you're right. I think you just have to like it. You don't have to think it's a good movie. You just have to like it.
It's like a thumbs up, thumbs down.
Hold on, I thought it was 14.
Well,
that's
it's 14
critics.
on the critics.
The critics.
Oh, the
this,
critics.
Which also, by the way,
would
suggest that more than 1 out of every 10 critics is saying they like it.
Yeah,
which is also a lot. Which
seems
is
high
also
as well.
a lot.
Yeah.
Well, the best way to get to this movie is to talk about every single thing that happens in this movie. So, as you mentioned, Tass, a lot of things are explained, and a lot of things are explained in the first 15 minutes of this movie. It is just straight up exposition. It's all telling, no showing, as we were talking about pre-show. Here is the kart championship. Here are the drivers we're following, and here is what they've been doing. My first question that I knew I was going to have for you, Graydon, is what is the kart championship? That's a real thing. It was.
Well, wait, no. So karting is still a thing.
Sure.
In the sense that people go, but this is not a real championship. This is clearly a blend of Formula One and IndyCar. Yeah. There are people from both worlds in it. Many of the locations they go to are Formula One locations, but more of the style of the race, the rolling starts, the nature of the pit lane, things like that more resemble IndyCar. So I think this is meant to be a blend of the two, trying to split the difference there. You know?
There's a great tidbit on Wikipedia that says, prior to production, Sylvester Stallone was seen at many Formula One races, but he was unable to procure enough information about the category due to the secrecy with which teams protect their cars. So he decided to base the film on Champ Car. He's like, I'm making a movie about cars no matter what.
That's preposterous. In retrospect, having seen the movie, it's there's no IP in this movie. There's no secrets revealed. You could watch Formula One on television and have gleaned enough information to go into the depth that this movie does about racing.
Yes, I mean, I would say the only real information we learn is the very first screen of the movie is 900 million fans.
Yeah.
Which I think is probably exaggerated.
900 million spectators, 250 miles per hour, 20 races, 1 championship. That slate right at the beginning just lays it all out. And it only gets...
The stakes are high, my friends.
They are extremely high. Yeah, and it only gets... Everything is explained. It's like if I made a movie. Everything is on the absolute nose. Everything. Every song choice.
Yes.
Every audio cue.
Oh, the music is great.
The Fat Boy Slim jumping in there. When a car is flying through the air, there were some hardcore jungle beats when Max Pappas was flying through the air. It was so much.
In these first 15 minutes, we learn about the kart championship, and of course, we meet the characters in the movie. We meet hotshot Jimmy Bly, a rookie who already has 5 race wins in the first half of the season. Pretty good.
That is pretty good.
Despite the 5 wins, however, he trails reigning champion Bo Brandenburg in points on the season. We also meet DeMille, Jimmy's brother and agent, whose eyes just light up with $ every time he sees Jimmy.
Robert Sean Leonard, the great Robert Sean Leonard,
yeah.
Who, when I saw, I thought, terrific. Robert Sean Leonard's here. This movie's going to be great. We're saved because everything Robert Sean Leonard touches turns to gold. I was wrong about that. I thought the guy who was one of the driving forces behind Dead Poets Society can't, he would only choose terrific films to be a part of.
What are you saying? His line, "What am I, a piece of wood," isn't poetry? Are you saying that's not a poetic line from Robert?
Yeah, he's not a great character. You know what? Can I say one thing that it first confused me? He's the first instance of my being a little confused by this is when he's on the microphone talking to Jimmy Bly in the car, which continues. Really, it's a bit of a Wild West out there. Who's allowed to talk to boom during the race? Yeah. This is everybody's got a line into the driver, which he was the first instance of my like questioning that, being like, that's odd that they let him talk.
His brother's just chiming in.
Like, so.
Yeah, so they always had two people in their ear, it seemed like, at all times.
At minimum.
At minimum, there happened to be a wife on in there, just whatever to build up a little bit of drama.
Yep.
But this is a legitimate question. There's always just usually one person with the line of communication, right?
Yeah, normally there's like the race engineers talking directly to the driver.
Burt Reynolds. In this instance.
Even in this instance, it wouldn't even be. Burt Reynolds is more like the team principal, is like the team owner, who's you sometimes hear at the end of a race them talk to the driver. You hear that guy chime in.
Good job,
great
buddy.
job, buddy. Yeah, exactly. But no, normally it's like the race engineer is just one guy talking to him. And the drivers don't talk to one another, which also occurs during the movie.
A lot, yep. So you're telling me Crusher is likely the race engineer.
Crusher would be the guy, I would think. Of the characters we've seen, Crusher would be the guy.
He's like the only guy with headphones that doesn't talk. Like he's wearing the whole movie, but he's never talking.
He would be the guy.
Crusher. We also meet Sophia, Bo's fiance, but Bo breaks off their engagement to focus on racing. She takes off her ring in the garage and leaves it on the desk for months. It's there for months until later in the season. Bo never picks it up. Nobody's ever like, oh man, that looks like a gigantic wedding, like engagement ring. Did that used to belong to Sophia?
Wait, so tell me if I'm wrong,
Just
but
sitting there.
okay, so she takes it off, it's there, it stays there in the garage because it's picked up later. But don't they like change locations? It's the garage. Weren't they at a race?
I thought so.
So they've moved.
It was right
so it
before
can't
the
just
race.
be there
Yeah.
because they've moved.
There were a lot of location problems.
A lot of location
Yeah.
problems.
It's like this movie was in Canada like 80% of the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Until you see that Chicago sewer pop up. Then we know we're in Chicago.
Totally.
But it kept on going back to Canada. There was actually some filming in Quebec. I actually, one of my I guess my happiest moment was purchasing this on Amazon. I'm not happy that I purchased that. We each spent $3.99 on this movie, but I'd never watched a movie on Amazon, and I didn't know that it comes with some little tidbits as you watch. So there was all of the continuity errors listed on Amazon like during each scene.
During the movie?
Yeah,
What?
Each scene, like relative to each scene or specific to each scene. As soon as a scene would change, the notes pop up on the side.
Wow.
That are pertaining to that scene. So that was actually interesting to me.
What were like standout continuity errors?
Listen to this. This is how bad the movie is. I'm not giving anything away here. But this movie is so bad, they spelled Michael Andretti's name wrong in the credits. Not that I was watching the credits, but the movie ended, credits popped up, and the notes changed, and it's titled Goofs. In the end credits, Michael Andretti's name is spelled as Michael, the Michael that we all think Michael should be spelled as EAL.
Right.
To me, that's how it should be spelled, obviously. In the end credits, also Jasmine Wagner's name is spelled wrong. Jasmine with an E.
You went deep, Tess.
Well, no, it just popped up. These all popped up. So, I'll jump in with some mistakes here as we go along. But speaking of Canada, portions of the film were shot at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve in Montreal, Quebec.
Makes sense.
Yeah, of course. But there was never a race in Montreal. There
No,
was
I believe
only in
they're
Toronto.
Toronto, they say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just wanted to throw that Canadian tidbit.
And I actually feel like,
because there's a lot of Molson
know
Canadian banner
A lot
ads.
of Molson talk.
do you know where they filmed the race in Germany? Did it say, was that? Because I actually thought at times it kind of looked like Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, although it's meant to be the Nürburgring. Like, it's kind of meant, because that whole thing where we'll wait till we get to the whole memo scene, but the thing where it takes the emergency vehicles a long time to get there because the track is so huge was the reason they stopped racing at the Nürburgring.
I
It's
imagine
kind of a
that-
reference to a real issue.
I imagine that was filmed in Quebec, in Canada. I don't think they got
Do
to
you
Germany.
watch
'cause-
most videos on Prime with the notes on?
No, that's what I'm saying. This was my first time, and I'm pretty happy about that.
Okay.
That was the best part of this film. The notes. But there's some German
a full
mistakes we'll get to
document.
later.
I think they did shoot a little bit in Germany, but I don't know if it was at maybe they just got like exteriors and stuff,
Yeah.
like stock footage.
It
Like what
coulda-
they did
yeah.
with Japan. Like, hey, we're swimming in Japan now. There's a Japanese flag at this pool. Are you in Japan? I don't know.
Yeah. Well, okay. with the wait, can I? So to go back to the kind of the beginning with the telling versus the showing, I think for me my biggest. Amazingly, there's so many issues with this movie, but one of my biggest is just the trigger for all the action, which is they say, they don't portray in any way, but they say Jimmy Bly is struggling with consistency and focus. You hear the guy say that, and he's racing. He's currently in second. He's just come off winning 3 races in a row. He's in second in this particular race. Somehow he's struggling with consistency and focus, and this is the trigger for Burt Reynolds to go start shaking up the team in the manner that he does. But I just am like, what are you talking about? Yeah. Like, there's no evidence of that whatsoever.
They call it like basically the halfway point when they bring in Joe Tonto. Sylvester Stallone's character, ex-champion, flamed out of the sport for reasons unknown. How many times champion? Nobody knows, but he's brought back to tutor Jimmy, and I'm exactly with you. If that was the halfway point, they say there's 20 races in the season, so he's won half of the races in the first half of the season. They're like, I don't know if this rookie can handle it. Seems like a solid start to a career to me. If you win 5 of the first 10 races.
Insane.
Yeah, that was surprising to me. But you knew it was time to call Joe Tonto. When Carl Henry said, Crusher, it's time to call Joe Tonto.
And at the time, you know what I thought was also a funny thing was when they said memos out, you know, it's time to get Joe Tonto. But at that point, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think we had met Memo.
No,
so I thought they were just like, they've created this entire character just to throw him away in the first 10 minutes of the movie. At the time, I didn't realize he would be back. But I was like, they've concocted this entire guy just to as a casually reference, be like, well, he's fired.
Oh, yeah. We got to get him out of here.
That's what I thought at the time.
Memo, he's terrible. We can't trust this guy. What'd you think, JD? Was a little light-handed by Rennie Harlan there, the intros of meeting everybody?
Yeah, very, very soft touch from Rennie there. Subtle. You know, I agree with everything you just said. When they did sort of fall into the show instead of tell, this caught my eye. They showed this cover of ESPN magazine with the two leads there, Jimmy Bly and Brandenburg. But look at the top of the
water polo
in the Magnificent Seven.
I'm so glad you caught this. I'm so glad you caught this.
What? Big seller?
What is
the kart champion by water polo double issue here?
I guess. But like, why is it there? I mean, I Googled water polo and the Magnificent Seven. Could not come up with it. I think there was a water polo team referred to as the Magnificent Seven at some point, but how distracting is that? Maybe it's just me, but Jesus, like,
well, I gotta see what these guys are doing.
A little bit of verite. I mean, ESPN covers have multiple, references to multiple articles on the front, not just the feature.
No, fair enough.
I think it's.
You had to put something there. You didn't necessarily have to put water polo.
That because that was yeah.
So Joe comes back and he shakes literally everybody's hand in the garage. I think 100% handshake coverage when he comes back. He even shakes the hand, of course, of Memo Moreno, the driver who Joe is replacing, and also the man who is now married to Joe's ex-wife, Kathy. Joe stole Memo's job. Memo stole Joe's wife. And they're best friends. These guys have no animosity towards each other at all. They're even like bro slapping and pointing at each other.
Like
Incredible stuff. Has anything ever happened like this in real Formula One, Graydon? Anything similar to this? I mean more like the off track.
Actually, the only thing I was similar to say is Max Verstappen's girlfriend is former Red Bull driver Daniel Kvyat's girlfriend, and Kvyat is the father of his girlfriend's child. So there is a slight, I mean, that's supposed to be a movie, but like, I would say that like some like drivers dating other drivers' former, partners and wives
ahead of its time
is not unheard of. It's not however, that is a more recent phenomenon. Driven was not referencing that at the time. At the time, Max Verstappen maybe not even born, or like a tiny baby.
Maybe like a very small baby. Yeah. What do you think, JD? Who's in the power position here? Is it Joe or is it Memo? Joe the job stealer or Memo the wife stealer?
Oh, great question. Great question. You just opened my eyes to a whole new conflict that Sly came up with in the script. It's probably part of that, 4-hour cut that we never saw. I would say that Memo at this moment is in the power position because he's still loving life. He's like, hey man, I just love life. I love fucking your old wife, and you know what? It's great. We're friends. Everybody's cool. So obviously he's doomed, right? Like if a character like that in a movie like this.
He was too happy.
But yeah, I mean, he's got the upper hand, and Sly's body language is just awful. Like he's just like, ugh. He just had the confrontation with Gina Gershon there, who comes at him inexplicably, like whatever she says, like, wait, you gotta ask me a question, whatever she says, and he's just, ouch,
she's a little Knives Out the whole time. She's picking a fight.
Oh yeah,
and fair enough. He left her with nothing, I might add.
Yeah, so understandable. I actually understood her motivations a little bit, which is saying something for this movie.
But it's not like he has all that much. He has a little farm where in like Vermont or something. He's upstate, where he's just fixing up old racing cars. He's not, he doesn't have all that much to his name for a former champion.
On top of the world.
I know he lost it all, as we know.
And by the way, when you get a gander at Memo, he's the hottest person.
Very handsome man. Very handsome.
Yeah, no wonder.
The Ricky Martin character of this film. Actually, I happen to have my my mouse pointing at the credits when we first saw Memo, and Dario Franchitti popped up, and I thought, is that Dario Franchitti? But it's not.
No.
An actor.
And this is some actor. But Dario Franchitti, there are, we just watched Hustle, the movie, for No Dunks.
Yeah.
Unlike, Hustle, this movie points out every single cameo, except Dario Franchitti. Like, there's like, hey, Michael Andretti and Paul Tracy are leaving the pits. Like, this movie points everyone out. Hustle, there were some Sly cameos, but Franchitti, that's why I thought Franchitti was... Well, it's because his name came up. That's why I thought Franchitti was
There's a couple Sly cameos.
No
here.
pun.
A couple quiet ones in the background.
There's one really
Jean-Louis.
distracting one. Did you see this? Dustin Hoffman randomly shaking hands with Joe.
Wait, no, that's Mario Andretti.
No, it isn't.
Yeah, it is.
That's Dustin Hoffman.
Are you sure?
No.
I don't know if Mario Andretti is in it, but I believe you both.
Sorry, how tall is Mario Andretti?
He's probably small.
They're not drivers aren't normally big guys.
Yeah. But Sly's not
huge.
Is Sly short? Isn't
no, compared to the actor. I don't know. It could go either way. It could be Andretti. It could be Hoffman.
According to Wikipedia, one very brief uncredited cameo contains Dustin Hoffman in racing gear.
Okay. So maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. Listen, I thought it was Andretti. Admittedly, I didn't pause on this moment. It did fly by.
Yes.
So
yes.
I just was like, oh look, it's one of the Andretti guys. It's Andretti.
Well, I saw it, and I was like, oh, Dustin Hoffman's in this? Okay, all right. Let's see where we go. But so maybe it is.
I'm going to say I'm wrong. I'm going to say I'm wrong. Yeah. I'm going to say it sounds like you're. It's right.
Wikipedia. Who knows? But when they shot that scene, like I think this was during the Molson Indy, and this is Sylvester Stallone saying hello to Dustin Hoffman. This is just they caught on camera.
I'm here too.
And then Rennie's like, oh, let's put it in the movie. Why not, right?
Either way, good use of one of the most famous actors on earth and one of the biggest names in motorsports. So I would say good. You say Joe doesn't have much after leaving the kart circuit, but he does have at least 75 cents because very soon after his introduced, we see Tonto on the track for the first time doing his iconic quarters bit. He drives around the track, he throws 3 quarters out at various locations, and then he drives his lap, drifting over the quarter and picking it up with his rear
without
wheels.
Losing a millisecond.
Not a millisecond of speed,
time.
Graydon.
No.
Tass, you're the best driver in the factory. You think you can pull this off?
Absolutely, I could pull it off. I would, like Sly Stallone does, I would lose milliseconds because He's skidding out.
He is
No, you
skidding completely. Yes.
meaningless to say you don't lose milliseconds. You would lose speed doing that. You would lose time.
100%.
It's not the fastest way around the track.
Because he is drifting every single time, which is strange.
Wait, I'm going to call you on that there. I don't think you could pull it off because you know who can pull it off. The people who can pull it off, they're not among the living.
That's right.
As they say very clearly in
Can anybody else
in
pull
the
this
show
off?
there. Not among
the living.
Which what? What is that?
Correct.
Is this a reference to Fangio? Allegedly, Fangio used to actually do this way back in like the 1950s.
Wow,
when they
I
first
didn't-
invented cars and quarters. So he would not be amongst the living in 2001.
When they first invented cars and quarters, is that what quarters?
You think quarters have been around longer than the 1950s?
I don't. I mean, I
I would have
honestly
to see the
never asked
date. I would
question.
have to see the date. They
I'd have
put
to
the
see
number right
I
on
didn't
there.
think they
know.
were quarters, actually, but
But they are okay. So they're saying Juan Manuel Fangio used to do that. Something.
Look,
now
I just
you
saw
respect
it on-
it.
I
Now
just
you
saw it on
respect this
IMDb.
move.
Well, I'm just curious
I
as
didn't-
to what that looked like in real life. I don't know.
It's a great question. Also, quarters have allegedly been around since 1796.
Hey, big spender back in 1790.
Yeah, no doubt. You were balling if you had a quarter way back then. What'd you think about this scene, JD, of Joe showing us he's still got it by drifting out there?
Yeah, I mean, I was blown away by the visual effects, obviously, and some great like the humming comes in here. This is the first time
the first humming.
we quote unquote hear the humming, but I didn't hear any humming. Like, really, you can't hear what he's humming. Like, if you're gonna have humming, if that's gonna be a set piece, because it does come back, right?
Yeah. Oh, it comes back
comes
in a
back
major
anytime.
moment.
He's humming.
Chekhov's
Can you
hum.
hear it? No, I can't hear it. What is he humming? Was it something that they couldn't get the real, like, was it Happy Birthday to You? Like, was it something they couldn't get the rights for and they had to bury it in the mix? You know what I'm
I thought
saying?
it was like the William Tell overture or whatever. That's
Really?
Yeah,
I couldn't hear it.
It's also Sylvester Stallone doing the humming, and like the guy's got a monotone speaking voice,
Right.
So his hum comes across quite the same.
I guess.
But yeah, not a very effective like mechanism for showing. Oh, this guy's in the zone. But I guess they had to have something, and maybe like
What
you
other
can't
tick?
whistle.
Yeah.
Like, whistling I think would be better.
It would
than
cut
humming.
through in the mix.
It would
that's
cut through, for sure.
Yeah.
I felt like I could hear. I mean, I couldn't hear the humming to the sense that I could tell what he was humming, but I heard like a
Yeah, it was sort of a low.
yeah.
If they didn't say he's humming, I would not know that he was humming. But a great line at the end of this from the guy, whoever the guy is. First of all, he says, "What? There's you come into the scene and the Dead Poets guy says, "What'd you give him?" And then the technician or what is that guy? What's his name? The
Crusher?
Crusher.
Crusher, is that his name? Yeah. He goes, "I gave him gas money."
Yeah,
It's
which
like, okay,
is that
what
meant?
does that mean? I think he's referring to the 75 cents.
And gas must have been real cheap back then. I mean,
Right?
inflation lately.
Yeah.
Maybe my prices are off here, but I mean,
Yeah.
it seems.
And so, like, maybe it would have been helpful to see that. I don't know. Like, it was just sort of weird. And then Dead Poets guy goes, "Ugh," and he leaves for some reason, like, exasperated. And then at the end of it, Crusher gets on the horn and he's the party line, as it turns out. "Well, I think you passed the audition, and I'm not mopping up the mess, Hummer." That's what he says. and I had to go back and I was like, what is he talking about? And then I realized, okay, Hummer, because he was humming. Okay. But what about the mess? Like,
What's the mess? He
mopping
just
up the
drove
mess.
around the race course. That's what
Yeah.
you do. There's
I
a
mean, I
race
think
course.
he's implying a future mess. Yeah, he brought this old guy in. Nothing but trouble.
Okay. Yeah, fair. Okay.
I mean, he passed the test. The reveal of the when Jimmy Bly sees that what he thinks is only 2 quarters on the wheel.
He forgot that
Jimmy
quarters
Bly
are
walks
round.
away. He goes, two or three ain't bad. Yeah, I guess wheels are round.
Wheels are around. Yeah.
Spin it.
Forgot to check
Spin
the
that thing
sides.
around.
Spin it.
Whoa, there's that quarter. 3 of 3.
Only Joe and Fangio could pull it off, and that proves he's still got it. Joe makes his racing comeback at the Toronto Molson Indy, I think they were calling it. Was this filmed at the X? Did that look like the exhibition, like the exterior
Oh, 100%.
scenes of that?
That's where the part of the race is. So that makes sense. That,
Yeah, there was
that
a-
felt real.
I liked the montage of like sights and sounds, and there's just one scene of a woman just taking the biggest bite of a hot dog you've ever seen. He'd like half of a hot dog.
There are some weird moments where there's these like little insertions of like
what?
quote unquote sexy moments that are very peculiar, come very out of left field.
Total creep show.
Total creep show.
Well, in general, there's a lot of like. Speaking of the creep show, so by this point we've already been introduced to the journalist that is covering the real deal inside Burt Reynolds' team, and she, I mean, maybe perhaps a somewhat realistic portrayal of the world of motorsports is being sexually harassed somewhat constantly by the people around her. As far as the creep show goes, it's impossible for a man not to make a unprofessional comment to her. They're incapable.
Well, it goes both ways, both sexes as well, because the first person that was inappropriately touched was Jimmy Bly while he was doing his media tour. And, the heartthrob. Yeah. Somebody, a fan, came up to him and pinched his butt. While there was tons of shots of women's chests and women's butts. Clearly, one woman not wearing a bra, and then the comment. It was quite inappropriate. Stallone, just a quick butt slap of the reporter.
Yes,
if I'm correct.
Yes. Oh yeah.
This was a different time.
She's there investigating male dominance in sports, and I think the article is going to be very eye-opening when it finally drops.
Weird, but that was. I mean, all of the relationships are dumb. All of the romantic endeavors in this movie, and that one is just so forced. Where there's no chemistry between Sylvester Stallone and the reporter, but they somehow fall in love. That's a forced job. Real forced job. There's no point in that, but every single relationship it's bad. Yeah.
Yeah, but Carl Henry's move to bring in Joe here pays dividends pretty early because Jimmy wins in Canada after Carl has Joe block Bo on the last lap. Joe is pissed about this because, Graydon, this is not pure victory, but Joe has proven to Carl that he'll do anything he can to help Jimmy. Have you ever seen team orders this controversial before? Pull out in front of the guy in second place on the last lap of the race?
I have. You obviously see team orders, and you do see people explicitly try to hold people up. We famously remember Sergio Perez kind of holding up Lewis Hamilton in the final race of the F1 season last year. So it's not that it doesn't happen. Although, at least in Formula One, I guess you could interrupt him briefly to prevent an overtake, but you'd get shown a blue flag, so you'd have to get by. You couldn't truly hold the guy up without a further penalty. So I don't know. I mean,
those aren't the rules in the kart championship.
Wait, one thing can I say about before we move on from the race, the first race in Canada of many races in Canada is I think this is the first instance we get a portrayal of an accident, which I found to be incredibly extreme. Every accident was the most shocking on-track accident I have ever seen in my life, up until the next one that I would see later in the film.
Nobody's spinning out and hitting the wall a little bit.
No, they're insane.
Something's going
they're
flying.
Spinning, they're flying, I think we got one in that race, and I found it very startling.
Sure. Yeah. Every time I saw an accident, my note that I was taking was the accident where somebody died. Because it has to be. It sure felt that way. Then I deleted it because nobody died, as we'll get to a little bit later on. But yeah, they went for it. They really went for every single accident.
I have a note here that just says that was a very bad accident. At the time, I didn't realize how many accidents there would be. So I thought, my next note, just as a little bit of foreshadowing, says, LOL, the synchronized swimming, LOL. So that's...
Well, honestly, that's a perfect time to take a break. Stick around. We'll talk synchronized swimming afterwards.
Cults. I'm into them. If I see a doc about a cult drop, it's clear the decks, pop the corn. I'm binging them all. That's right. I watched both Nexium docs back to back. Back to back. Why am I talking about cults right now? Because, well, I'm in one. It's called the Cult of Peloton. And I'm all in, baby. It's the instructors. Each one of them is my own personal Svengali. They're so damn good. Let me shout out a couple of them. Christine Dercole. she's a short track, well, not short track, but it's a track cyclist, right? Mm-hmm. And I took a class from her the other day. It was a power zone ride, 45 minutes, and she was all based around a race in a velodrome. So she's talking about the strategy of, each lap, you pour it on, you pull it off. And it was all in power zone. It was interesting, and I was sweating my ass off, and I loved every second of it.
That sounds awesome.
It's great. Emma Lovewell, my kid, my youngest, shredded like abs of steel. And I say, Jackson, what's your secret? Emma Lovewell, he says. You should take some of her classes. This is real. This is actual truth. Every time I walk into this classic factory, he's on the floor over there, hanging out with Emma Lovewell, doing crunches and whatever else she's got going. So I'm going to get on that. But Dennis Morton, he's my guy. He's the cadence king. The guy understands music. He's always locked in on the beat, and I need that. When the chorus hits, that's when you're pouring it on, and I love that about Dennis. And speaking of music, the variety is actually insanely good. Are you in the mood for a 90s hip-hop? To blast out the 90s hip-hop? There's a class for that. You want to belt out some Disney classics? There's a class for that. The other day, I did a 30-minute grunge ride and followed it up with a 10-minute Barbra Streisand cooldown.
What a stack.
It was awesome. I was crying my eyes out by the end of it. But that's okay. I loved it. Motivation. What moves you? Anytime, anywhere, try the Peloton bike or tread risk-free for 30 days. Learn more at onepeloton.com. New members only. Terms apply.
Need to supercharge your hiring? You need a super hiring partner. You need Indeed. Indeed is the hiring platform where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. Instead of spending hours on multiple job sites like a fool, searching for candidates with the right skills, Indeed's a powerful hiring partner that can help you do it all. You can find great talent faster through time-saving tools like Indeed's Instant Match, assessments, and virtual interviews. That first one, Instant Match, sees over 80% of employers get quality candidates whose resume on Indeed matches their job description the moment they sponsor a job, according to Indeed data US. There's an old saying, why work harder when you can work smarter? Well, to that I say, the smarter move is to let Indeed do the hard work for you. When you pay to post a job, Instant Match shows you candidates whose resumes on Indeed fit your description immediately after you post, so you can hire faster. Oh yeah, let's move quick, baby. Indeed is an unbelievably powerful hiring partner, delivering 4 times more hires than all the other job sites combined, according to Talent Nest in 2019. That's quite the flex. 4 times more hires than all the other job sites combined? Straight lapping the competition here. Start hiring now with a $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/NoDunks. Offer good for a limited time. Claim your $75 credit now at Indeed.com/NoDunks. Indeed.com/NoDunks. Terms and conditions apply. Hit them with the tag, baby. Need to hire? You need Indeed.
Back with no breaks. When we left, Graydon had just hit us with his note. LOLOL. Synchronized swimming. Well, after his victory in Canada, Jimmy starts cozying up to Sophia, Beau's ex-fiancée, and she charms him with, you guessed it, synchronized swimming.
Well, hold on. Is it synchronized swimming if you're by yourself?
Oh,
yeah.
Great point.
Wow. Is there another name for it if it's a solo?
Well, I had to Google it, and I didn't even know what to Google, but what I came up with was artistic swimming. They call it when you're by yourself. So, yeah.
Another creep shot in there.
Big time. Big time creep shot.
Yeah. A weird one.
Is synchronized swimming sexy? Like, just in general, like, was this cool?
There was a shot that I felt uncomfortable.
Yeah.
When she comes up and then does the splits, and I literally looked away. I was just like, no, I can't. I felt
it was gratuitous.
It was
quite gratuitous.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think even Jimmy in character is like, what are you doing? Synchronized swimming. He's like, Cool.
I actually made a list of. I started making a list of things Jimmy's never done.
Yeah.
Okay. Seen synchronized swimming, number one.
Yeah. Okay.
Been on a vacation. Number two.
Never been on a vacation.
Never been on a vacation. You want to go on a vacation? I've never been on one.
Yeah. Yep.
And the third thing, this is my speculation, never had sex with Sophia.
Oh, yeah. Big
totally.
time. Never, absolutely does not.
Yeah.
They do not sleep together.
They're friends.
Well, then, if really, because if
I know.
are,
I mean, they're not friends. They're just saying that because they're in like a early courting, kind of friend zone dance thing. But clearly they're interested in one another.
well, why else would he freak out like that? When
Of course,
you'd feel
of course.
good about your friend getting engaged at a
He freaks out and has, I think, a very reasonable, kind of normal reaction.
response. Yeah.
Well, which we can get to. Yeah.
I will say, he's never seen synchronized swimming, but to defend Jimmy, have you ever seen anyone do that in a pool? I don't think so.
That's a good point.
I
If you
guess
saw
I've
something in a
never-
pool and be like, whoa.
I've
you
never
never-
seen
Hold on.
synchronized swimming live.
Have you never been to a pool? I've seen it hundreds of times, not hundreds of times, but at least a dozen times in my life. I've
dare
seen.
you?
Somebody doing
I've seen-
what Stella Warren was
I've
doing
seen-
that
No way.
level?
Oh, I once was irate because I was at the Y. This was in Toronto. And I was doing laps, and these girls got into my lane to practice synchronized swimming while I'm doing laps.
Okay.
I was like, and I just quietly skulked over and got out of the way. I was angry, but I wasn't.
Is
Yeah,
this
I didn't
when you
yell at
started your Peloton journey? Because you were like, there's
Yeah.
just too much.
There's
too many
I can't-
interruptions
Exactly.
in the pool.
Exactly.
Maybe the actor that was swimming in front of you in Toronto, or one of the
could have been
girls,
her.
was I was going to call her Elizabeth Warren. Was Estella Warren, who?
Wow. Can you imagine Elizabeth Warren synchronized
Yes.
swim?
As a matter of fact, I can.
I can too.
I think she could pull it off. But Estella Warren, the actor, actually was a synchronized swimmer.
Right.
And she moved to Toronto from Peterborough, Ontario, a suburb, to train with the national synchronized swimming team. And she later became senior national champion. She was good. She almost made the Olympics. She was a bronze medalist at the Junior World Championships. And obviously in this film, they said, hey, you can swim. You can do synchronized swimming, so do solo artistic swimming because we're not going to get a second person. But you do it in front of Jimmy, so he gets excited. He didn't.
Wait, JD has a
Yeah,
rule
he
around
didn't-
this
he was
when
like-
somebody
more like-
has a talent and they always do it in a movie. What's the?
Yeah. What?
Yeah. So her talent, obviously, she can swim.
Yeah, my rule is it's called the Mandy Patinkin rule. It's very loose rule, which is to say, if you have Mandy Patinkin in your movie, have him sing. You should have him sing because the guy's a great singer.
Everything he's been in, he's sung.
Well, no, I don't think he sang in The Princess Bride, did he?
I don't know.
But if you ever watched old episodes of Chicago, every third episode, Chicago Hope,
Okay.
Chicago
Yeah,
Hope,
I think
he was singing. He's a doctor, and he's like singing. So that's where I came up with the Mandy
singing
Patinkin.
guy.
Good rule. He doesn't
I'm
sing in
trying to rack
Homeland
my
either.
brain to think of another person who it's like they have a unique talent and therefore they
Yeah.
always do it in every instance they're portrayed.
Well,
I don't know if this is the same, but in Yellowstone, there's a guy who's a country singer, and like he's an actor for the first few episodes, but then he starts singing a country song. And you're like, well, it was only a matter of time, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah.
it's like a musician. If they're a musician, like they're gonna sing somehow, some way.
yeah, like
Yeah,
Same if you're an
the,
artistic swimmer.
Dana Carvey plays the church lady, and the church lady plays the drums. Right?
Yeah.
Isn't
Right.
that kind of
Yeah.
like
Right,
that?
right,
It's
right.
like, oh, church
We
lady's
might-
pretty good on the drums. Eh?
We might make it through the entire Sopranos without that one guy ever playing the guitar. The guy from
Oh, I
Space-
love
Oh, that's a good point.
Right?
Yeah.
I don't think we ever see him playing music.
No,
Never
Despite
definitely
the
not.
entire. He
Yeah, but you see Junior sing a beautiful song.
Oh,
one of
that
the
is a
seasons,
lovely
yeah.
scene. Yeah, that is. We should have watched old Sopranos
Fuck, I would've
episodes
watched it,
instead
guys.
of
We
this
should've.
movie.
One other note I did like from this scene, Jimmy asks Sophia, where did you learn that? And she's like, I was raised by frogs. Ribbit, 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 ribbit. Apparently this was a Sylvester Stallone ad-lib that he told her to say.
Great acting.
Thanks, Sly. Thanks for sliding that in there.
And then Jimmy responds with, "Well, I'm glad you escaped." How do you know she wanted to escape? That's my
Yeah.
question.
Maybe she wants to go back. She
raised by
seems
her-
happy in the water.
Yeah, maybe they all died. Maybe she.
But what, do you
one
need to
who got
escape
out.
like, if you were raised by? So you're suggesting that the frogs like had trapped her and she was held prisoner.
Maybe they're
as a child.
Maybe Jimmy was thinking of poisonous frogs.
Well, hold on. Let's break this down. Assuming she's human and she's raised by frogs, as if a human raised by wolves, right?
I think that's kind of the suggestion.
Yeah.
But they're frogs.
But when you say raised by wolves, the suggestion isn't that the wolves are holding you prisoner.
Yes, I suppose.
I think it's you're one of the pack now.
Right, like Mowgli. Mowgli? What's his name?
Mowgli?
The Jungle Book guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Raised by wolves. Right?
Yeah, it's family.
Are they? Is he? Yeah. Or a Blue the bear or something.
Well, they're friends, but he was raised by the wolves. Was
he? I haven't seen it in a million years. I gotta be honest.
Well, you'll get to watch it again soon. I'm sure you'll be watching it enough in the coming years.
Yeah.
Nonetheless, Jimmy does fall for Sophia. The artistic swimming works, but it proves to be a distraction on the track for Jimmy, resulting in him crashing out of a race in Japan. And bad news, Sophia isn't over Bo, which we know because she said those exact words to Jimmy the first time they met, which was maybe 3 or 4 days ago. She said, "I am not over him," and it turns out to be a problem because Jimmy, Bo, and Sophia are pretty much traveling around the world together and going to all of the same events. And also because Joe is advising Bo to reconcile with Sophia using the ring that hasn't moved from the paddock in months. Why was Joe advising Bo at all?
That's Joe. His heart's too big for his head. He's got too much love to give, I think, is the problem right here. So Bo asks him, when Bo asks him a question, needs some life advice, he can't look out for his teammate first and foremost. He does what's right by the guy he's talking to. It's a sweet gesture, but perhaps a misguided.
Yeah, I thought Joe and Bo were rivals.
Yeah.
But here he is telling him, giving him a heart-to-heart on reconciling.
Yeah, I don't know. It didn't. The scene didn't make sense. Also, and they're also just hanging around the track, running stairs or something.
Yeah.
It was a weird.
Yeah.
It was a weird scene.
Did anyone think that he was trying to sabotage him?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
I actually
didn't think
never
he was just being a good guy to
I never questioned. I never questioned that he was just. That he was just giving him some life advice. That he was just a wise old man being
just a wise
you
old
gotta
guy.
gotta go after the one you love, youngin. That's what I kind of thought.
But I don't know. Is he supposed to be? Is Joe supposed to be helping Jimmy here by eliminating the distraction? Having Sophia go back to Bo, which
also,
then clears things up for Jimmy to focus on racing and pure victory.
Yeah, but that brings up a great question, which is that Joe's supposed to come in to help Jimmy, and his kind of giving Jimmy advice and tutoring him actually doesn't occur for a good middle portion of the movie. His tutelage of him actually comes in comparatively late, which really confused me. His entire reason for being introduced in the story is in no way forwarded or realized for an hour. If she's on screen or something like that, which...
Well, that's because of the Dead Poets guy.
Oh, so you think it's Robert Sean Leonard's in between?
He was just cock blocking him the whole time.
Yeah, okay, yeah. No, that's fair. That's fair.
Channel through me. I'm a good channel.
Channel through me. Well, at a party in Chicago to unveil the next season's cars, Bo and Sophia reconcile right in front of Jimmy, and Jimmy is pissed. So he steals one of the prototypes and goes on a joyride through Chicago, and Joe follows in pursuit. This was a wild scene. The two of them whipping through Chicago. Helmets off, seatbelts on. I thought that was hilarious. Why did they put on those seatbelts? It takes 4 people to get you into a car, but these guys just hopped in, drove around. Honestly, some incredible Sylvester Stallone faces during this joyride. Him trying to act, him trying to do his face in different ways was hilarious to me.
And well, first off, I guess the keys were in the ignition of both
just
cars.
Ready to go. Just ready to go.
And completely fueled up too, right?
Fueled up, fired up, ready to go. Cars that, sure, it's famously not easy to just turn on like a normal car, but whatever.
Just
it doesn't
hop in
matter.
the seat, strap in,
It doesn't matter.
turn the ignition, and you're gone.
That's the sort of insider secret that he didn't get because he couldn't get access to F1. So,
JD, you made fun of the special effects earlier. You hinted at, the blurring while Sylvester Stallone is driving, they're obviously implying this guy's old. He can't.
What? They are?
No, I thought they were implying that it was just fast.
And windy.
No, but every time he's in a car, even when he's on the track, they're just producing a little drama while it's not where it's not. I think basically every time he's in a car, it's either blurring or he's squinting, like I can't see. So I think it's just a crappy special effect. The blurring sort of around
I agree.
the track.
It's a terrible special effect.
Yeah, it was.
But yeah, I thought I was with Graydon in that I thought that it was to do with speed.
The speed? No, but I don't think...
like being in the zone,
Yeah.
kind of like everything like fades away, and all he sees is like.
Oh, he wasn't.
The
Obviously,
angle.
he wasn't in the zone.
Well, he wasn't humming.
He wasn't humming.
Yeah, that didn't happen to anybody else,
Touche.
though, I don't think. I don't think the blurring happened to any other driver.
Yeah, but
in
nobody
this
else
film.
could also pull off the 3/4 move either.
going
So
actually
it's like he's clearly a special driver.
Clearly, that's why he was in this friggin' movie. He solved everything.
I was laughing because at first Joe finally catches Jimmy and they just get out of the cars and I'm thinking, there's no consequences for this, for going through a joyride.
Oh.
But then I laughed even harder when they said it was a $25,000
There are no
fine.
consequences. That is
$25,000.
My note says they just got away with this! Exclamation point! Exclamation point! Exclamation point! $25K fine! Question mark!
$25K.
They just walk away. Where are the cops? Where are?
Yeah, they just left the cars. Somebody will get these.
Yeah.
Well, not only that, not only did they didn't bother trying to get away. They stood beside the cars in the middle of University Avenue in Toronto, by the way, arguing with each other, and then just sort of meandered away. But it's
Can't do that.
A
hilarious.
good place to fake shoot in Chicago. They do kind of the physical landscapes of the city are similar, so it makes for a good fake Chicago.
Well, after the joyride through Chicago, Carl decides that the Joe experiment isn't really working, and I have to say I can't blame him. Because since Joe joined the team, Jimmy has one race win and one race crash. He's also started dating a rival's ex-fiancée, then gone on a joyride through a major American city after his mentor broke up his relationship. So I'm thinking kind of the right call so far by Carl to bring back Memo to replace Joe in Germany. Is this, I mean, like, come on. Joe's dropping the ball here. Like you said, he didn't do any mentoring until they were on this joyride.
I don't think that there was really good reason to bring in Joe in the first place. So I'm not opposed to bringing Memo back. I'm not opposed to bringing Memo back. He was
like 50% win percentage before Joe, 50% after.
This is the only
doing okay.
This is one of the only decisions made in this movie that the action leading up to it seems to reasonably justify.
Yeah.
The idea that you're like, you cannot go chasing around our star driver around the city of Chicago. You are off the team, and we are putting the old guy back is a reasonable response to what has just occurred.
Yeah, you thought he was falling apart at the seams before. Now he's driving 200 miles through the city.
But I'm slightly confused as to why Joe was brought back at all now. Because he initially, he's brought back to be Jimmy Bly's, his guiding light or whatever.
Yeah.
But Burt Reynolds' character, Burt Reynolds' character, Carl says, I didn't bring you back to drive. And Joe's like, what? And then he gets in the car and he drives all those races, even though he didn't bring him back to drive because he is the quote unquote blocker for Jimmy Bly. Like he is just
I
like
think he means that, like, you're not here to win. Like, your job is not as a driver. You're here you're to be part of the team and do what the team needs.
Yeah, okay.
I think that's the suggestion.
You're a pawn out here.
You're a pawn. You're gonna do what I say. Sure.
I think that's the suggestion.
But then he ends up driving a lot.
Oh, yeah. He's driving a ton. He can't stop driving.
He's good at driving.
But he has been subbed out, and at the next race in Germany, it's pouring rain. Bad conditions out there. But
that was a weird special effect.
Bo and Jimmy battling for first, and look who's charging hard in third place. Wouldn't you believe it? It's Memo Moreno. He's supposed to be blocking, but now Kathy's on the pit row mics for some reason. So he's racing hard. He's going for the victory. They just let anybody.
They just let anybody talk to the drivers mid-race. Yeah. What is Kathy doing?
3 people. Go for it. You can win this. As it turns out, though, Memo is racing a little too hard because late in the race, Memo collides with Jimmy, which I think I have this right now. Sends Memo flying in the air.
Yep.
He looks down and witnesses his own crash, which I think is pretty wild, where like they show the scene of his eyes looking down at all the cars coming beneath him. His car gets hit by another car, which sends his car into a fireball. off the track, out of the stadium, into a nearby pond.
Out of the stadium, or was it just like into like a pond, like in the interior of the racetrack?
Well, come on.
I mean,
they shouldn't have interior ponds.
They do some places, they do, but they off the track though.
No,
he was off the track.
It was outside of the pond, outside of the track, because they made it clear that it was a very difficult location to get to for all the helicopters. Somehow the cars got around, like Bo came around, drove up, parked, got out of his car, and was able to get over there before the emergency services.
Yeah. Memo took a
must be really hard.
big breath from Memo on
This
that one.
was because I was mentioning this earlier, but this is kind of a reference to the Nürburgring, which is famous and famously long and takes you like off into the woods in Germany. And when people would get like in wrecks in these really far off parts of it, getting to them, getting medical attention to them was a huge pain. And that's part of the reason why F1 stopped racing there. So there is, this is a slight nod to a real world problem that motorsports is.
Well, I'm curious if they handled it the same way as they did in Driven, where Jimmy pulls a U-turn to save Memo from drowning.
A bold move.
And Sophia convinces Bo to do the same. As it turns out, not only do they have to save Memo from drowning, though, they also have to do it before all the fuel that's leaking out of the cars explodes and the flaming tree that is near the pond falls into the pond.
Wait, but my favorite part of this scene is actually when Sophia says to Bo, you gotta go help.
Yeah.
So he turns around to go, and then she says, but what are you gonna do? Like, she immediately questions his ability to help out.
Honestly,
I also get, like, what is he gonna do?
What are you gonna do?
It's an insane sequence of lines.
Yeah, it is, but it works. Bo turns around. Bo and Jimmy, they get Memo out.
What should have happened there was, because she's a synchronized swimmer and she can hold her breath underwater, she should have taught Memo how to hold his breath underwater, because he is underwater for
a really long time. And Sophia should have just called him on the phone. They clearly can all talk to whomever. She could just patch into his line.
Yeah, while he's underwater.
And while he's
hold
underwater.
your breath, bud.
Move your arms like they're feet.
There is a note here while watching on Amazon Prime that says the methanol fuel as used by CART burns with an invisible flame and is water soluble, so it wouldn't have been on top of the water.
Oh, interesting.
Apparently, water actually extinguishes methanol, so it wouldn't have caused this. Now it's saying methanol is used in race car driving. Is the chosen fuel, so it's water soluble.
Okay,
so it wouldn't have been.
You're suggesting there's elements of this scene which are realistic.
Sophia gets on the mic. She's like, "Actually, just leave him. It's gonna be fine. It's not gonna catch on fire. I'll just swim out."
Because when Bo says it's gonna explode, I'm confused as to what's gonna explode. Because doesn't everybody know that methanol is water soluble? Everybody knows that.
So Joe and Jimmy, Bo and Jimmy, Bo, Joe, and Jimmy. Come on.
The names in this movie.
Bo
in
and Jimmy
are...
save Memo. They get him out just before the tree crashes into the pond, setting everything on fire. Huge crash. Minor consequences, though. Memo appears to be paralyzed from the waist down. He has it the worst, but he is not mad or upset at all. Not a little bit, even in the hospital. He's happy to be alive. Jimmy has a sprained foot, and Bo has a new contract offer for the next season from Carl, because Carl's pissed that Jimmy decided it was more important to save a man's life than win the championship. The kicker? Jimmy's brother, DeMille, negotiated the deal for Bo and Carl? What?
This is
what?
Betrayal of the highest order. I mean to think, DeMille, you would think you would be loyal to your own brother, to stab him in the back like this.
That's what you get for treating DeMille like a piece of wood. But literally, I was like, when had
show them interacting?
The curb?
But also, do they even really show DeMille and Bo reacting? Like they don't. There isn't any foreshadowing of this at all. Like them, you could see a scene where maybe they interact, and he's like, DeMille makes a comment like, you're not really, you're worth more than they're giving, or what, like something where they start to show that they're building a rapport. And there's none of that.
No. As far as kicking him to the curb, there is the Sylvester Stallone in Jimmy's ear.
True. He's listening to him more.
Yeah, and the one time they get somebody off the mic is this situation where, where he can't talk to Jimmy. Jimmy's in the zone, but I thought that's why why Sylvester Stallone's character was brought in to get in his ear.
Yeah,
and it's working. He gave him that little statue, that little trophy. It's working.
But it's all good. No surprise, it's all good. Bo turns down the contract offer, I'm guessing because his team is winning and obviously more stable. They haven't had any problems. Meanwhile, it's a complete disaster for Jimmy Bly's team. And also because heading into the season's last race, Bo has a lead on Jimmy, and Jimmy's not going to be able to race because of his sprained foot.
Is it sprained or is it burned?
It's burned?
Well, I thought there was
interesting.
He had a burned foot?
No, was it sprained? Okay, I missed it. I just thought because the fire, like, it exploded and, like the little part was he got on his foot. That's what I kind of thought, but admittedly, I mean, I don't know. When I was so demoralized, there's details I might.
I thought it was the car had rolled over onto his foot at one point because the car kept rolling back under the water, right?
That's true.
And then at one point he goes, "Ow, my foot!"
Does he actually say
I think so.
Sounds right.
I mean, that
this foot's going to keep you out for a race. I can tell already.
Frenetic, I was so tense and worried for Memo, I might have missed that detail.
Yeah. Oh, don't worry. Turns out all good. Jimmy passes 2 tests to get back in the car for the last race of the season. The first, the 5-second test, you got to be able to get out of the car by yourself within 5 seconds. Crushes that one. Not even a concern.
That is kind of a real test.
Yeah, that one seems legit to me.
That is like a thing.
You got to be
Drivers
able to
have to be able to exit the vehicles in a certain time. I forget what the exact time is.
Yeah, he has 2 perfectly fine arms, 1 perfectly fine leg, and then one leg that has a foot that's either burned, smashed, or sprained. So if you got 3 of the 4, you can get out in 5 seconds, as it turns out. The bigger problem, though, for Jimmy is the 10 hops test. Can you hop on that injured foot 10 times? Carl makes him do it, and Jimmy does it. No surprise.
Yeah, but does he? Because I thought
he gutted through it.
I guess he does like 1, 2, and then he sort of stumbles, and his other foot hits the ground. And I thought, okay, well, he's failed the test, right? I mean,
get him out of here.
Yeah, I thought it was like you got to hop.
The idea was you got to hop, and you can't
fall over.
You can't I've hopped once and then I stand,
right,
and then I hop again, and then I stand. Yeah. Anyways. I agree. That is also what I thought the test was supposed to be.
Okay, all right, good. Glad I'm not alone here.
Well, I thought it was just any 10 hops, even if you look completely like your foot is going to fall off. As long as you can hop 10 times, completely fine, because Carl says to him as soon as he completes it, you should have tried that hard before. That's all he wanted to see. Just a little effort out there from Jimmy, who, again, is in second place in the Drivers' Championship as a rookie. But Memo's still in the hospital, smiling up a storm, so Joe is also back in the car for the last race of the season in Detroit. Late in the race, we've got Bo and Jimmy competing for the top spot. You already know Joe's holding it down in 3rd place, and at one point even takes the lead, but it's short-lived as Joe's suspension breaks just enough to drop him back to 3rd, but no farther back. Bo and Jimmy both pass Joe. Bo takes the lead as Jimmy starts panicking, but the wise words of Joe echo in his head. Drive for pure victory. And Jimmy pulls out the win in a photo finish as Joe spins into 3rd place. How touching was this ending? How great was it? How surprised were you to see Jimmy barely edge out Bo for the championship?
Would I have thought that's the ending, that in the end Jimmy's going to barely win?
Shocker.
Bit of a shocker. I mean, I was really moved when they all take the podium together and they're all thrilled for one another, and they're happy. They've got their big bottles of champagne. Estella Warren's look up at them. She's at Robert Sean Leonard looks up and he's like, my brother did do it. I'm proud of him. I'm proud, and he feels a bit of pride, even if probably a little bit conflicted, given the choices he's made, most notably betraying his brother. I think that I thought it was a wonderful ending to a wonderful film.
Yeah, what'd you think, JD? Not predictable enough that Jimmy would win the championship?
Honestly, coming into it, I could not have predicted that the 3 of them would be friends and all winners in their eyes.
They did all win.
Yeah. I mean, Bo gets the girl.
Jimmy gets the title.
Jimmy gets a pure win, I guess.
Yeah, he gets the pure victory.
Pure victory. And Joda gets in his ear.
Yoda?
Yeah, it's very Yoda.
Joe did win.
Yoda at this moment for sure.
Joe could have won. At least Burt Reynolds suggests as much.
He did win.
Yeah.
And then he did win. How did he win?
Well, he won third.
But you know what?
he beat Max Pappas, who was airborne.
Yeah, what way did he win?
It must be like a reference to his backstory that we never really get, right? Like, whatever his downfall was, something happened.
Something happened.
Right? Yeah.
Can I?
I mean, I can only assume.
He overcame whatever happened in the past.
Yeah.
It's like, what race car driver in real life would be happy with third? Like, it doesn't exist. There's no race car.
I think
His
there's
team won.
guys.
His
There's
team won,
guys that like never, like Nico Hulkenberg, like raced for years, never got a podium. I think if he came back and was able to get a podium, he would be thrilled at that.
Okay,
Yeah, but that's
fair.
not Joe Tanto.
No, I agree.
ain't
It's
Joe
not Joe
Tanto.
Tanto.
Tanto's been on
champion.
top.
Yeah. yeah.
No, I
agree.
I
Yeah,
think
agree.
Sylvester Stallone got in this movie, and I mean, he only agreed because he helped out everybody, which is really weird. For the longest time, I didn't know what team he was on in this movie.
Same.
Right?
Because are you saying that possibly because their cars and then the overalls they were wearing weren't the same color, even though they were on the same team?
Different-
One
different
was
colored
Motorola,
cars.
one was Nextel.
Nextel.
Even though
Nextel.
they are supposed to be on the same team.
Yeah.
Okay,
and
so
because
that-
he's helping everybody.
But
I think that's why Sly was pretty happy. He won. He came in. He helped everybody. He got his life back together.
Can I ask a question?
Go ahead.
Sylvester Stallone, who I understand is not the director but has a strong creative hand in this movie,
Oh, yeah.
has made a lot of movies in his career. They're not all all-time greats. They're not all iconic, but many of them are competent films where kind of 2 + 2 = 4, scenes logically precede one another. Some of them are, in fact, all-time great films. Arguably, as JD mentioned before the show, perhaps one of, if not the greatest sports movie of all time, Rocky.
Right.
How did he make a movie where it's like it is so disorganized and so poorly structured and so illogical?
Yes. Yes.
It literally boggles the mind. I honestly,
I don't.
because he is, or at least he was a talent. He's a talented guy, Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah, and some of his early stuff I think is really good.
And Rennie Harlan is a competent director, I think. I mean, Die Hard 2, guys.
Sure.
Sure.
Good
Probably
movie.
But yeah, I have
My
no
least
answer
favorite
for
of the
you.
original Die Hards.
Yes, but still, I mean,
Understood.
A movie.
there's a beginning, a middle, and an
quality
end,
movie.
and it's quite coherent, and the action is actually pretty good. And this, let me defend this movie. Actually, you want to take a break, and then we'll come back and
Yeah, I think
we'll do
we
that?
covered the movie. We'll come back. We'll talk anything we didn't get to. Give this movie a rating.
JD will talk about why it's great. He's going to defend it.
Yeah, exactly.
No,
Stay
hold on,
tuned
hold
to
on.
JD talking about how much he loves Driven and why it's a great movie.
Helix Sleep is a premium mattress brand that provides tailored mattresses based on your unique sleep preferences. The Helix lineup includes 14 unique mattresses, including a collection of luxury models, a mattress for big and tall sleepers, and even a mattress made just for kids. And I can happily speak on that one because both of my boys sleep on a Helix mattress very comfortably every night. So how will you know which Helix mattress works best for you and your body? Well, take the Helix Sleep quiz and find your perfect mattress in under 2 minutes. Helix knows there's no better way to test out a new mattress than by sleeping on it in your own home. Duh! That's why they offer a 100-night risk-free trial. And once again, speaking from experience, I can say that Helix is true to their word because recently, my wife and I, we purchased a Helix king-sized Moonlight mattress, and we realized after a few weeks there that it was probably a little bit soft for our preference, so we exchanged it for the Helix Midnight, which is a little bit firmer, and the process of making that exchange was as good and as easy as advertised. No stress, no awkward phone calls, you just fill out the form and bang, your exchange is done. And that, remember, was with an exchange. If you don't like your mattress at all, then you can return it and Helix will refund your entire purchase, but you're probably not going to do that because these mattresses are super, super great to sleep on. Not only is it the best mattress I have ever slept on, but the setup was fast and easy. Helix mattresses are delivered in a box and straight to your door for free. Helix is offering up to $200 off all mattress orders and 2 free pillows for our listeners. Go to helixsleep.com/nodunks. With Helix, better sleep starts now.
Back with no breaks, we just talked all about Driven from 2001, a very good movie, and now JD's going to tell us why he loves it so much and has it in his top 10 all-time sports movies.
This is one of the worst movies I've seen. It's definitely the worst movie we've done for film session.
Agree.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, Air Bud, you said, Trey, this is worse than Air Bud.
This is worse than Air Bud.
And Air Bud is a stinker.
Yeah.
But I will say that there are, I'm not going to say scenes, but there are shots that border on exhilarating almost, right? There's just some onboard, you're on it, it feels like you're in the race. Mm-hmm. Certain shots, definitely not scenes. And Rennie Harlan, the guy knows how to cut together an action scene, I think. That scene where, Memo is in a burning car in a lake, it's very well edited and very well put together. Yeah. It's preposterous. It's ridiculous. We don't care about any of these characters, so who gives a shit? But there is a pacing to it, and it does effectively build tension, I guess. And I will say as well, this movie came out the same year as Fast and Furious, one of our favorite franchises around here. And at least this movie, Fast and Furious, had 10 seconds to do a race. Like, the race scenes are literally 10 seconds, right. And they too relied on really bad CGI, if you remember. Like, the streaky shots, the blurring that Tass was referring to, they used the same thing. And I thought that the street race, as preposterous as it was, actually was pretty effective and kind of fun to watch.
Totally.
So I'm going to give it that.
Okay.
So that's all.
Yeah, I would say if there was any way to save this movie, it should have been all that. And try not to make an actual movie with characters and relationships and tension in that regard. Because the acting, anytime there was like sentimental acting, especially, the acting was very, very, very bad.
Yeah.
Who was the best actor in it?
Probably Gina Gershon.
I was going to say, I actually thought
I understand
Stella
why you're
Warren wasn't
mad.
bad.
Yeah,
I thought
sure, she's fine.
She was fine.
Yep.
It's fine.
Burt Reynolds was actually...
She was believable as a synchronized swimmer, I thought.
Believably upset about her relationship with Bo.
Yeah. Yes.
Believably upset, yeah. But, yeah. Mm-hmm.
The
woman eating the hot dog, I thought, was very good as well.
Can I go back to one thing? You asked me at the very top of the show, and I think I flubbed it, which is what was kart racing, and in my head I went to kart racing, which you still have today. But you were right. Kart was a series.
Capital Kart.
Capital Championship Auto Racing Teams was an open wheel racing series that went away in like 2003.
Yeah, so 2 years after this movie was made, they went bankrupt.
Yeah, they were in. So that I neglected to.
They were trying. They were trying to catch IndyCar. I remember.
Exactly.
So
right.
I guess this is meant to be kart, but I don't know that kart went. I guess I could look it up, but went to this had gone to some exotic locales, Germany, Japan, Brazil. They show, I know most of the ones we actually see are in North America.
Yeah.
But they, in theory, they went around the world to these races.
Yeah, that's why to me it is kart, but it's supposed to be Formula One. But it's like Sly didn't know enough about Formula One to actually call it that and get the buy-in. So he's like, oh, okay, we'll do the American version.
I guess I'd have to look up to see if some of the people involved in this were participating in kart. Like Chip Ganassi is in it. I believe he's the guy who's running Bo's team, and he's still a major name in IndyCar racing. I don't know if he was involved in kart or not. I didn't watch kart when it was on.
This is my 100% of my kart experience is watching this movie.
That's accurate.
The 2001 season. Dramatic. What a dramatic season that one was.
Crazy.
All right, let's rate this dumb movie. You can rate it out of whatever you want to rate it out of. JD, you already hit us with the strong points of this movie. Why don't you kick us off with an actual rating here?
Well, I'm gonna just I'm just giving it a 0 out of 1,000,000. How about that? I couldn't rate this worse enough. I'm just going over my random notes. There was like
0 out of 1,000,000.
Yeah,
it's a tough one. Tough watch.
The little montage, like for a sports movie, there's no training montages except for a weird moment in Hong Kong, or not in Hong Kong, in Tokyo, sorry, where Jimmy is partying his face off and he's like splashing water in his face. I don't know what was going on there. And then Bo is just running at night, right? Okay, so that was the closest we got to a training montage.
Bo's locked in Jimmy's
party mode.
Yeah, I guess. And I guess he crashes after that. So, anyways, there's that. I don't know where I was going with that. You know what? Listen, this is a fucking colossal waste of money, this movie. Tass brought it up. The really bad CGI rain for some reason that they did.
That was wild.
I mean, here's a screenshot of it for the YouTube people. How much did this cost? This is 2001. They could have taken this and actually shot all the money that they put into this shot, which was unnecessary because they had a shot right before it with real water that looked just fine. We got the idea. You can't see. And they could have shot in Tokyo, and they could have gone globetrotting, and actually it would have felt like we were going,
somewhere.
Globetrotting. Instead, we've got Nathan Phillips Square in Toronto is downtown Tokyo all of a sudden. So there was that. And here's another random note that I loved. We talked about how spectacular the crashes were. And there's a one shot of an emergency vehicle going to one of these horrific crashes. And here's the guys in the back.
Yeah.
Did you guys notice this? They're
I didn't notice this in real time. I didn't notice this.
I just could not believe it. So,
they're chilling, man.
Gotta go in the water.
No, they're like, you know what? We've done this before.
Yeah.
They're fine. Don't worry. They're fine.
At the same time, what do you want them to do? Because I too was, this is an urgent situation.
Right.
But they're sitting on the back of a truck. They're still, hundreds of feet away.
If I'm directing the movie, I'm like, fucking stand up and look for the car. Do ready. Something. Make it look like you're about to spring into action.
This was a shot that, a shot that they just somehow grabbed and
totally.
stuck in here.
Yeah.
It's wild.
But yeah, anyway, 0 out of 1,000,000.
0 out of 1,000,000. Oh, tough rating. Tough rating.
There's so many digits between 1,000,000 between 0 and 1,000,000.
Low. That's low.
It's probably the lowest one you could get to on that scale.
Tass, what are you thinking?
After that rating, I'm going higher than that. I'm going higher than 0 because some of the in the seat action shots were scintillating. I'll throw that word out there. Some of the feeling while you're in the cockpit felt good. But then you got out of the cockpit, and it was difficult to watch. Like some of the editing choices were so poor. Like they're at the press gala when
especially bad.
Yes, Bo tries to talk to Sophia, and manager man comes to break it up, and the glass breaks, and they show. The choice is to show the glass breaking twice. Like he breaks, and then there's a slow-mo of it breaking again.
It is broken.
Yeah, it's like it kind of reminds me of, that took me out of it. It reminds me of the Lakers show on HBO that we it's like, why that choice? It really doesn't make any sense. And when Bly is doing the jump on his foot 10 times, they go to a slow-mo. But it's this weird, there's no action. Yeah. There's absolutely no reason to go to slow-mo. So the relationships, as I said prior, it's so cringe. The talking is cringe. Every time two people talk to each other, the hat choices of Yes, the blue jean hat that she wore.
Kathy wears a wild hat in this one.
I mean, it's like screaming to me, Clueless, like 5 years later. So actually, I guess it was with the time, so I didn't mind it. But I will give it a couple points because I did find it scintillating. It ended with the line that you said there, Trey, was Sly Stone in Bly's ear there. Try because you love it. Try for pure joy. You do a better Sly Stallone, but like that line makes it a Sly Stallone movie, so I didn't hate that.
Pure victory.
Yeah, that's a good Sly Stallone.
It's the same as my Vin Diesel, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah, it's more of a Stallone.
Yeah, maybe a little more slurry.
But it came around to a Sly Stallone. I think Sly was, he definitely had his hand in it. He won. He was so happy, and it became a Sly Stallone movie at the end. I think this was way past the prime of Sly Stallone. There's too many injections in the. This is over. It's over for Sly Stallone, and there's too much acting in 2001 for this to be a good Sly Stallone movie. But it all came around at the end, so I'm going at least 2 out of 10. 2 out of 10 for me. Not happy I had to watch it. But it is a weird thing that Sly Stallone to me kind of pulled it all together. Without him, it would have been, probably would have gone the direction of JD. He was the star for me.
Sly was the star. Nice. 2 out of 10 for Task. Graydon, hit me with your final thoughts on this movie.
Yeah, I wish I knew what sort of scale I should be rating on, somewhere between a scale of 10 or a million. But there's moments in this movie that I enjoyed. I thought a few of the music choices got me pretty amped.
Hey man, nice shot.
Took me back to a time. Yeah. I loved where the journalist woman is in the bathroom with Gina Gershon and she flicks her off by saying mascara's running. Yes, I thought that was a classic little Sly diss there. Loved it.
When you say Sly, you mean literally Sly, not Sly Stallone.
Yeah. Yes, correct. Okay. I meant it was like a diss on.
You can't help but make that pun.
Not that
Sly is in the movie.
I'm not suggesting that she was in any way dissing the great Sly Stallone. I mean, this movie was really bad. It actually was meaningfully worse than I expected it to be. I expected it to be boring and probably flat, and the acting to be flat, kind of like what if Rush was really clunky or something like that, right? But mostly hung together, and it fell meaningfully short of my expectations, so which were not super high to begin with. I didn't go in thinking this is going to be great, so that is a bummer. I am going to give it I'll go 1 out of 10 for me. All right.
Fair.
I give it the 1 because there is not literally every because of the finger is the one. Yeah, not every single not literally every single moment is a train wreck. It's like there are just brief moments where you have the vague sense that the people on set or behind the camera are professionals at their job. It's like the most base level of competency for a flash of a moment. I like some of the editing you were talking about, JD, where pulling together an action. It's like, okay, somebody who has made another movie. It's not literally an amateur made movies, not like a college student.
It's pretty close.
It very much, we were talking about this
I gave it a 1 out of 10. Yeah. I'm not exactly.
That's too high.
I gave it a 1.
That's the thing to me, because I feel
which is like 100,000 out of a million. So I guess in that sense, it's bad. It's like way too much.
I saw this in high school when it came out. I didn't remember it being this bad. Going into it, I thought the same as you. Like, this is going to be boring, but it's not going to be completely dumb. And this was a completely dumb movie.
Completely dumb.
Like The Room. It's like if The Room was a movie about cars. That's what the dialogue felt like to me. The fact that fights come up out of nowhere, and then the people are just back to being buddies again. The scenes, there are so many scenes. They last for nothing. Anytime somebody has a line, it's it feels like the I Think You Should Leave sketch where Jamie Taco's trying to steal the lines and they're just trying to say it as fast as they possibly can. But when they're driving, you can sometimes forget that this movie sucks. So I'm giving it 2 out of a million. For those moments when they're driving and you're like, whoa, this looks cool. They're driving pretty fast out there. All other parts, though, are pretty bad. Read some reviews. A great one, worth looking up, by Andrew O'Hare, I believe it's pronounced, at Salon.com. If you're looking for trippy computer-animated car crashes in which detached racing wheels fly at you in exaggerated Matrix-style slow-mo, along with displays of affection between manly men who feel each other's pain, the most ridiculous rescue sequence ever filmed, and gratuitous scenes of synchronized swimming, you've come to the right place. I think that's exactly right. Sylvester Stallone was asked in an interview about films he wished he hadn't done. This was one of them. And director Rennie Harlan said that Driven is the biggest mistake of his career because it closed many doors for him in Hollywood. So
It's a shame.
not
a shame.
reception.
Good.
You deserve it. I just mean
Yes.
you would. I thought you were the Rennie Harlan fan of the group.
Yes, but come on.
There has to be
at a
some
certain point,
repercussions. There has to be repercussions.
there has to be limits, right? I mean, there's so many bad movies that get made by people, and they keep letting them make movies, and it's
fair enough.
inexplicable
Like, not this
to
guy.
me. But I don't know. Rennie's still working, is he not? I mean, I think he is.
Choices have consequences.
Exactly.
Yeah, I don't think he's probably made a big budget movie quite the same, but that was also, he'd done Cutthroat Island, which did pretty poorly as well. So I think that this just did not reflect very well. He did get nominated for Worst Director and the Golden Razzie Awards for this as well. And I think Estella Warren won Worst Actress, but for her combined roles in this and Planet of the Apes, they just threw them in together.
Okay, because I would have said that there's no way Estella Warren. First of all, I was borderline defending her as one of the few people who I felt like wasn't a total train wreck. I'm not saying she's good. Nobody's good in this movie. Just to be clear, nobody's good. I'm saying she was one of the least bad. I would have said multiple people in this movie do a worse job than she does.
Yes, this was nominated, I'm seeing now, for Worst Picture, Worst Director, Worst Screenplay, Worst Screen Couple for... Which couple do you think?
Okay,
nominated for Worst Screen
I'd
Couple?
say Bo and.
I'm gonna say. You're saying you think?
Is it a male, female, or is it?
No, it's Burt Reynolds and Sylvester Stallone.
Okay. Yeah.
Also was nominated for Worst Supporting Actor, Burt Reynolds and Sylvester Stallone, and then, like I said, Estella Warren won Worst Supporting Actress, but also for her role in Planet of the Apes, which came out in the same year. So this movie was destroyed at the time.
What beat it out?
For worst movie at the 22nd Golden Raspberry Awards. Oh, this was a good year for bad movies. Worst picture was Freddy Got Fingered. Which I also saw in the movie theaters.
Wow, you really
saw a lot of bad movies.
You're racking them up. What are the other ones even on the list?
Okay, nominated for worst picture that year: Freddy Got Fingered, Driven, Glitter. Pearl Harbor, and 3,000 Miles to Graceland.
Oh God.
Wow. Okay, so those are
some bad movies.
Those are bad
Yeah.
movies.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Reynolds and Stallone, this was my favorite prop in the movie. Just sitting on Burt Reynolds'
Incredible. Thank you for
desk.
God, so glad you caught
zoomed in, and this is obviously an actual picture of young Burt Reynolds and young Sylvester Stallone just chilling in the 70s. I mean, those are a couple of cool guys right there.
Yeah, this is a great photo.
They look cool.
Yeah, I didn't think Burt Reynolds was that bad in this film at all. I think if you're gonna
agree,
he played the role fine,
I guess.
Yeah, he didn't do much, you know.
I mean,
but...
to razz him, there's other things to razz, I would say.
Yeah, this was a big name razz.
He to me is like not the what's the guy who played Jimmy Bly.
Kip Pardue?
Kip Pardue is way worse than some of the. I mean,
would
Kip
agree.
Pardue's a train wreck in my opinion.
Okay, but to be fair, I mean, I'm going to defend all the actors in this movie because they were given garbage.
Yeah.
Yes.
There was no direction, and the script was complete dog shit. Like,
yeah.
You know, I know that it was 222 pages to start. You know, that's how long it was. It was a 4-hour cut. I mean, but that doesn't matter because the individual moments are laughably bad. Trey is exactly right. It's The Room with cars, it felt like. That's pretty harsh, but at least The Room had a shoestring budget. This is what, a $78 million Hollywood blockbuster with A-list celebrities and an A-list director, frankly. And they shat the bed, and that's why I gave it 0 out of a million. I mean... There's no excuse. There's literally no excuse.
There's no excuse. It felt like an amateur movie, but like you're saying, it's made by some of the biggest stars in the game at the time. So I got to say, official recommendation from No Breaks is don't watch this. Listen to the podcast, watch the podcast.
Don't do it.
And if you're feeling like you want to put 3 cents in Sylvester Stallone's pocket, go for it, because it's terrible. This is a terrible movie, but it's fun to talk about with you guys.
On Amazon Prime, if you order something and you make a mistake, there's a quick button right there to click and say, "Excuse me, can I have my money back?" So watch it through Amazon Prime and then click that. I made a mistake and get your money back.
Oh, that's a great. I actually got to return it. I think my 48-hour rental is perhaps it's passed, unfortunately. Oh.
You should be allowed to do that. Have you ever gotten a refund like from a movie, like in a theater?
I don't think so.
My dad used to do it all the time. Like, it was so embarrassing. Like,
what a movie.
Like,
he's like,
movie
he would go up and be like, "This was terrible."
He would, at the end of the movie, he would go and say, "That was awful. I want my money back," and he would usually get it back.
That's all.
I mean, most of the time he wouldn't last through the movie, right? So
yeah,
third act comes, he's like, "This is bullshit. I'm leaving," and then he'd get his money back.
I didn't even know you could do that. That's awesome, though. I would have loved to do that with this movie.
Yeah,
to get my money back.
That's what I'm saying. Like Amazon, I am dissatisfied with this. I want my money back.
We got to watch something else this season, like on an off week, and cleanse our palate of this.
Yes.
What's a good racing movie?
I mean, Rush is actually a good racing movie. I also think we could just do a Cars movie. Like, I'm down for Gone in 60 Seconds.
Okay.
Classic Cars movie.
I thought you were going Cars, like the animated.
We can watch the animated Cars. I mean, Cars,
yeah, sure.
the movie, the animated movie.
What about Senna? Have you done Senna yet?
The documentary Senna.
Yeah.
We can. I feel like it's almost too. It's like too good. Senna's good.
Senna's good.
Well, it reminded me of the one moment that the director tried to make something. Tried to pull the artsy move where Memo looks into the mirror. He walks in, he's all pissed. He looks into the mirror, sees himself, and Senna is sitting there. The book is sitting there. And then it cuts to Jimmy Bly looking into a mirror. It wasn't really well done. It was like a big table mirror to like this side mirror shot that didn't really translate, but it was an attempt. It was an attempt. It was an amateur attempt. I could see that being done as well. It's very disappointing. Just very disappointing when you think about it.
What about Days of Thunder? Is Days of Thunder any good?
I haven't seen Days
of Thunder. I'm thinking Days of Thunder would be
time.
average, but now that I've seen this again, I'm like,
Days of Thunder.
Does Days of Thunder suck too?
Has to be better than this. There's no way Days of Thunder is on this level.
I've never seen it, so I'm definitely down to watch it.
Interesting.
I'm down.
Okay.
And Top Gun, it's maybe a little more topical.
Yeah, that's not too bad. Days of Thunder on Rotten Tomatoes. We're looking at a 38%.
Cool, I'll take it. That's more than double than this movie.
Yeah, 38%
from the
critics, 60 from the audience. So the audience likes
okay,
it,
so that's back in the realm of, I'm not saying that's good, but 14% from the critics is the dregs.
It's
the
dregs.
true
Yeah.
dregs
It's the
of
dregs.
Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah.
Absolutely. So is this good? This movie, no. But is this good? The podcast coming tomorrow. Like that? A little bit of a segue.
Well
right
done.
there. 1 p.m. Eastern, if I'm not mistaken. Who do we got? You, Skeets, and JD?
That's right.
With Matty O tomorrow.
Can't wait.
I was perusing the topics earlier. Excited to hear what people have to say about English movies with subtitles.
Are you guys going to talk about Driven? Just run it back.
You gotta see it with the subtitles. You gotta see it so you know when they're singing, "Hey man, nice shot." Graydon, what you got going on, man? Follow you at Mr. Gordian.
Yeah.
You got any good tweets coming up?
I don't know. I'll probably have some fire. tweets. My bees have got Fulham coming up, I think, so I'll probably be tweeting about soccer, which I've started watching.
Yeah, big soccer guy.
Since like 2 weeks ago when I decided to randomly like this team.
Well, we got anything else to plug around here?
Wait, can I?
Got a basketball show
Speaking
this
of Matteo,
That's right.
what the odds that Matteo listens to this particular episode of No Breaks, I think, are comparatively low. We should lie and tell him that Driven's really good and get him to at least rent and watch
Okay,
it. Just
I like that.
even if he only gets 10 minutes into it and furiously turns it off, it'll have been worth telling him that it was good and wasting that time.
If you've made it this far into our review of 2001's Driven, send a tweet to @StartersMatt encouraging him to watch it and tell him it's really good. Only mention the IMDb score, which I think is somehow like 4.6 out of 10. So it doesn't look too bad, you know?
Yeah, that seems...
Mention that, and maybe we'll trick him into watching it. In the meantime, subscribe to No Breaks, subscribe to No Dunks. That's where the Is This Good will be tomorrow. We also had a basketball show with Skeets and Lee this morning. Had No Bunts earlier this week with Tassie. Big win for the Braves last night. Big win over those Mets. You're a Mets fan, aren't you?
I am a Mets fan.
Get
I'm
out
mad
of
about that.
Get out of
win
here.
that I just learned of.
Get right out of here. But subscribe to The Athletic at theathletic.com/no dunks and send us some emails. nodunks@theathletic.com. What else? Clipper Bros.
You heard it here first. Have a great time. Turn up. Love you guys. Awesome.
Thanks for joining us. Be fast or be last.